What's going on, guys? It is Friday night. We are live here, Bourbon N Ball, week 17, hottest, coldest, and some really good sell high and buy low candidates with that whole trade deadline looming. So stay tuned. So, yeah, this is Bourbon N Ball. We are talking week 17. You got the trade deadline approaching fast. You've got playoffs approaching just as fast a couple weeks after. What a good time this is what it's all about, right? I think baseball, there's like high points in the year, and then there's exciting like low points. And a high point is always playoffs, trade deadlines, and drafts. Low points, it's kind of like in the middle of the season, you kind of lose a little of the edge, you know what I mean? You're just in it for so long. It's such a grind. I mean, compared to fantasy football, it's got nothing. The fantasy football has nothing on fantasy baseball. This is a long haul thing.
There's no breaks. There's no breaks either. You really have to stay your foot on the pedal. People still getting called up. People are gonna move, like we just said. I mean, who doesn't love a good rumor, Doug? I know we both do. We're gonna talk about rumors tonight, probably for the most part. But man, I mean, where do you want to begin? Where do you want to start tonight?
Well, I figure let's start talking hot players. We'll talk hot, and then I know we could dabble in some trade rumors with some of these guys. So we do have I know it's an hour, and we usually always either fill it or go a little like beyond, but I mean, that's fine, right? I mean, we can do that.
We're hanging out.
Yeah, let's talk the hottest hitters right now, right? There they are. No surprises, really. I mean, man, Nationals shortstop C.J. Abrams, 98.1%, 333, 3 homers, 6 ribbies, 6 runs, 7 strikeouts, 3 stolen bases, 31 points, 4.4 a start. White Sox first base, third base, Murakami, 91.9% owned. 321, 3 homers, 7 ribbies, 8 runs, 9 strikeouts, no stolen bases, 31 points, 4.4 a start. As you can tell for these guys, I mean, they are strikeout guys. So when they're not hitting, that's when they hurt you. But right now they are hitting, they are producing. I mean, some honorable mentions, and we'll always say, usually if one guy's hot, same team kind of follows, and a couple players from the same team. Same thing here. So first and foremost, for honorable mentions, you do have Cubs outfield PCA. He gave you 30 points. He also gave you 12 strikeouts. So again, something to watch with the strikeouts, especially in leagues that penalize you for those. Cubs, second base shortstop Nico Hornier. Looks like he's probably coming out of that funk that he was in after getting hit by a pitch. So it's good to see that, although the Cubs did get shut out today, which is really weird, and Shota looked really good. They made Will Warren look like Roger Clemens on the mound today. It was odd. Giants DH first base Rafael Devers. Mariners outfield DH Dominique Canzone. This was a sleeper guy that we had a couple weeks ago on our recorded show as a streamer. He is coming to his own. He gave you 29 points. And then Cubs, third baseman Alex Bregman, 28 points. Slowly becoming fantasy relevant again this second half.
Yeah, man, good to see the Bregman back on the list, or at least talking about him again, right? Top 5 third baseman off the board. He was kind of a thin position that draft. Finally starting to pay off. I think he's starting to look really good in that Cubs uniform. And like you said, they kind of got robbed today too. They played a really good game for the most part. Had some couple close ones, even with St. Louis this week. But yeah, going back to the list here, PCA, I mean, you got to give the guy the credit. He's been pretty much stellar all year. I'm obviously one of those guys that didn't think that was going to happen, but you got to give credit where credit is due. So PCA MVP candidate is going to be fantasy value gold right now. So again, going back to the list, Nico Horner, we talked about him a few weeks ago. We didn't know if he was going to be that same Nico Horner that we saw in April and May after being hit in the face with that baseball. But again, looking good so far these last few weeks. You can almost put him immediate, almost as they say. What do you think, Doug? Top? I don't want to say top 5 second baseman yet, but he's getting there. He's almost there.
He was there.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I mean, Rafael Devers is a surprising name. He's been talked about in a lot of trade talks lately. A guy that could get moved. Dominic Canzone. That's our boy, Doug. That's like one of our day one guys, I feel like, since joining FSAN. So great to see him. Really kind of low-key power coming in Seattle, which really is desperate for them. But I think there's two guys. CJ Abrams, MVP candidate, also an MVP candidate. Very, very good baseball player this year. Fantasy value, obviously number one shortstop. He's been on this list a couple times this year. No surprises there. But Murakami, to have him back on this list, producing again, having 3 home runs again, finding that power stroke again, since coming back from the IL, that is really good news for Chicago. And like you said last week, Doug, they're going to be buyers this year, which is really exciting. So I know a couple guys on this list that are coming up for pitchers are potential guys, but again, they could use a veteran bat in there. But man, great to see Murakami with the power. That's exactly what they've been missing since he's been injured.
It's true. And it took him a little while to find that stroke. It took him another about 10 days or so and coming back, and now he's been hitting them. I will say a lot of those points, so he did give you 31 points on the week, but 18 of those were from Sunday. He did hit 2 home runs on Murakami bobblehead day, which is insane, right?
Doug, you called that, by the way. You said you was going to hit a second home run.
I just got lucky because I owned him at the time. I traded him, and that might come back to bite me, but we'll see what happens on that. So let's talk pitchers here. Like you said, a lot of these guys might be on the move, should be on the move. We'll see. Giants starting pitcher Robbie Ray. He's only 70% owned. 2-0, 12 innings, 11 strikeouts, 3 walks, 1 earned, 45.76 points. His first start was at home versus the Angels. His second start was at the Padres. So good to see him at least face a playoff team and get the win there. The Angels are kind of, they're the Angels. Right? Yankees starting pitcher Cam Schlittler, 99.1% owned, 1-0, so he did get a no decision on his second start. 13 2/3 innings, 20 strikeouts, 1 walk, 1 earned, 45.56 points. So it really was just like an out that separated the two in points. First start was at Philly versus the Phillies. Second start was in Chicago versus the White Sox. 2 road wins for him. No sign of him being limited yet, really. And he's got some clunkers in there, but they're still throwing him out there. So I don't know if maybe they're hoping he can keep the ship together while some of these guys come back. I know Rondon is back on the IL, but he should be back at least in a couple of weeks. I thought mid-August. So I don't know if they're just waiting for him to hold it together till he comes back and then start limiting. But little odd late in the season. They're going to make a push. They're in the hunt for sure. If the season ended, they would take that top wild card spot. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with him going forward. And some honorable mentions. You do have Toronto starting pitcher Dylan Cease, 45 points. Dodgers starting pitcher Sasaki, 43.92 points. Good to see him. Tigers starting pitcher Skubal, Diamondback starting pitcher Erod, 40 points. And then last but not least, Cardinals starting pitcher Andre Palette, 35.4 points.
There's one league this week or past week. I think all of these pitchers I played against, it was incredible. Skubal, Palais was in there. It was just, and Erod was in there as well. It was just kind of a bad week to play this team. But I'll start from the top, Doug. We talked about Robbie Ray a few weeks ago. We do think he's probably going to get moved. We thought that pretty much right after the All-Star break. It's just kind of the perfect formula. Bad team, going to be sellers, contract year, veteran pitcher. It just makes sense. So he's going to be moving. Great to see him pitch these last couple of games like his own self. And then Cam Schlitter, I mean, really, Doug, he should have got the win that game. We should be talking about him before Robbie Ray. That was a tough loss for the Yankees in general, or at least that blown game for Schlitter. But again, pitching great, Cy Young candidate. If he's not going to win the Cy Young, I don't know who is. I mean, I feel like he's light years away right now from the next guy up. So again, we talked about the hitters, a lot of familiar names. Same thing with Cam Schlitter. I feel like every week we talk about him every Friday night. And then some of these other guys too, Doug. Dylan Cease. Finally starting to get some wins under his belt, starting to finally get the strikeouts and those quality starts that we've been talking about that he's been missing on. So that's really good to see for him. I mean, What are we going to do about Roki, Doug? I mean, is this guy – he's been up and down this year. I think you can honestly say there's been improvements from last year. I'm not saying he's a week-to-week serviceable guy, but he's going to have to be a matchups guy, I think. Knowing he's going to pitch for the Dodgers, he's only going to be in the six-man rotation. So it's going to be a really good matchup for him in order to put him in games. But right now, you got to ride the hot streak. He's just been pitching really well for the Dodgers.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of lucked out that he turned the corner because they end up, shutting down Ohtani, not just from pitching, but from hitting. So they took that guy out of the rotation. And luckily, I mean, Sasaki hasn't really skipped a beat. I mean, the strikeouts are there. Yeah, he's given up more runs than Ohtani would pitching, but he looks good, looks great. Maybe him going down in AAA for a little while, that's paying dividends for them. With a little get right type thing. I think, honestly, this is best case scenario for the Dodgers. If they go out and they don't even get a Tyreek Skubal, let's just say they don't. Sasaki coming in and pitching the way he's pitching, I mean, you can't complain if you're a Dodgers fan. You've got Blake Snell coming back in like a week. You've got Tyler Glasnow, who's starting to rehab, so he'll be back in probably 2 or 3 weeks. He'll be back right now if no injuries occur, if everything goes as good as possible. You could even have Glasnow back for your fantasy playoffs, which is insane. But right now, like Dodgers, it's like they can do no wrong. Everything is just working out. The dominoes are falling into place for this team. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know. I'm sure every team wants to be drinking the stuff that their team is drinking right now, just because of the luck that they're having with these injuries and how they return. These injured, these IL people are coming back at the right time for them, and people are getting hot at the right time. It's crazy. It is crazy. So I don't know what they're going to do with the trade deadline. There have been talks. There have been talks about maybe even a catcher, because Will Smith, they don't know what he's going to be like when he comes back. Imagine like a Hunter Goodman in that lineup. Gosh, I mean, I think he's an upgrade offensively compared to Will Smith. So that would be very interesting to see what happens with that team.
Yeah, I don't think they're slowing down anytime soon. I do think they're probably going to go out and maybe get a catcher, like you said. Man, Hunter Goodman would look good, and obviously with the Ohtani injuries kind of popping up now, and he's the power of that lineup, even though he bats leadoff. And, you got Max Muncy that's got some pop in there too, obviously, this year. But they're going to need a power bat, I think, down the stretch. A Hunter Goodman would fit the bill right there, right? Like a Hunter Goodman just sounds like a Dodger, right in the fourth spot.
So I have a question for you, okay? Here's a question, Mike. You're the GM. You can only go after one or the other. You going after Skubal or you going after Hunter Goodman? What do you need more?
I got to remember what Hunter Goodman's situation is, but I mean, Skubal's a rental. And look, I mean, you got Yamamoto, you got Snell coming back. He's like coming back next week, like you said. If Glasnow can be healthy, I mean, a Skubal in there would just relieve every one of those guys from trying to overperform from what they should do. What do you give for a Terrence Skubal? I know we talked about Tibbs, earlier today in the chat. That's a James Tibbs III could be an option there. And I don't think it has to be a real sexy, trade. We're not talking about a 6-7 for 1 type guy. Again, it's his contract year. So there's no guarantee that he's going to even resign with the Dodgers, even though, depending on how it all goes, he might love it. But yeah, I don't know. I think it would be Skubal. I just think a pitcher down the stretch is more valuable than a bat, if that makes sense. Just because I think it just brings a little bit more stability to a rotation, especially, even if you're good or bad, but a rotation that just, you have a guy going out there every week that's going to perform. And Skubal's going to do that. So there's no worry about, we need, if Yamamoto throws a bad game, it's like, man, we really need Roki to throw a good game. And we really need Snell to throw a good game. And just to better your odds. But I just think it's more valuable to sign get a pitcher than a bat. What do you think? What do you think on that?
I mean, I think they have great pitching, and I get what you're saying. But I think with the injuries to that lineup and what's going on with Ohtani it almost makes more sense to go after a bat. Like I at the end of the day, whether they trade for a Tyreek Skubal or not, I think he will become a Dodger. I think they will give him the money and he will be a Dodger via trade or free agency. It's just going to happen. It's almost inevitable, right? So if he does become, he does. If not, I hope, to me, I'd love to see Skubal go to the Braves. I've always said it. I think that's a team that desperately needs pitching, especially what happened to Strider. I would love to see him go there. And I think that is actually one of his top destinations. It's either that or, but who knows? They might just keep him, and they probably will. But I think it's the bat. It's just something. I feel like they're not going to give up much. No, even without a Skubal in that rotation, it's still one of the best rotations in baseball when they're going, when they're healthy, when they're in playoff mode. I mean, you can't really knock a rotation. I mean, you have 4 great guys to go out there and give you quality starts. I mean, Snell in the playoffs is, come on, 10 strikeouts, 12 strikeouts. I mean, the guy's nails, Yamamoto in the playoffs won the MVP last year. So I think, honestly, this team needs a bat. But that's just me. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't have a crystal ball. And maybe they don't get a Goodman. Maybe they go out and they need outfield help. I think the best bet for them would be maybe get an outfielder, move Mookie back to short. I mean, you can get a shortstop, move Mookie back to outfield, or you can get an outfielder and have him, kind of platoon that left field with Teoscar Hernandez. Maybe put him at DH. So there's things to do there, and they do have holes because that lineup that looked so great at the beginning of the year. Like that bottom half now doesn't look too scary. Mm-hmm. There's no Will Smith. Teoscar Hernandez strikes out a ton. I mean, Max Muncy has the power, but he's kind of falling back down. He's taking a little step back. Page isn't even batting at the bottom of the lineup anymore. He's batting second, and his numbers don't look that great either. If you look at the last 30 days, he's only averaging you 2.3 points in fantasy, as opposed to when he was at the bottom of that lineup, he was giving you over 3 points a game. So he took a step back. And then you got Mookie Betts now at the bottom of that lineup, and he's not really doing much. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Because I think they need help both ways, honestly.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Pot has actually under his OPS is actually under 800 now. Kind of been really slipping from the beginning. Hey, Doug, we got a comment from Mike James on Facebook here. He's got a couple picks on where some of these guys are going to go, and I kind of like them. I like Skubal to the Brewers. You got Peralta to the Cubs, and you got Weaver to the Rays. What do you think about that? What do you want? I mean, what do you think about Skubal to the Brewers? What do you think of that? I mean, they have the air money now.
They do, and they need pitching. They desperately need pitching. I mean, no offense, but Logan. I mean, you got Robert Gasser, and I mean a lot of nobody names. That I don't think the team for the staff isn't built for a deep playoff run. I really don't think it is. It's really going to be up to the offense to carry them. So I do think they need an ace, a face to that. I know that Miz is there, but he's going to be limited at some point. So who knows what he's going to look like down the stretch. So I get it. It's a fit that makes sense to me. Peralta, he just doesn't look good. I don't even know if a change of scenery is going to do him good. I really don't know. If I'm the Cubs, I'm not giving much. I'll tell you that.
It really depends. It really depends, I think, where he goes. I think, I'm obviously in Clearwater. Doug, I'm a Tampa guy now. I do think if he went to the Rays, which they do need pitching help for sure, could maybe be a solution just because they just seem to figure it out with all these guys, I feel. They feel like whoever goes to Tampa, they figure out what's going on with them, they fix them, and then they go off somewhere else and then maybe start crapping the bed again. But I do think Peralta might be a decent fit for the Rays. The Cubs, I mean, the Cubs are going to be contenders. They are needing in pitching for sure. But it's kind of like those kind of guys, I think, that the Cubs are going to be looking for. It's kind of like that middle of the road, maybe low-performing guys like a Peralta. And, that way they don't have to break the bank at the same time, too. I don't think the Cubs organization right now has the best prospect pool, if my mind is clear right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's tough. it's really tough to pick. It's, you know, I'm driving down here in Tampa and I'm listening to the radio and we're talking about all these different scenarios about these different guys. But I just feel like at the end of the day, Doug, Tampa's going to Tampa. They're going to go after not Scooble. They're probably going to go after, a middle of the tier guy like a Peralta and try to make it work with them. Or, maybe an Emerson Hancock, right? I heard he's out there for a trade potential as well. So maybe they do something along the lines of those. But yeah, I just love this season though because it's what ifs. What if we do this? What if we do that?
And they're gonna have to do something, especially what's going on with Shane McCallahan.
They do. So. I think he's in trouble. That back injury is definitely going to be an issue. I think long term. And then you know what? Shout out for the Red Sox. Did you hear that rumor trade for Bobby Witt?
I did.
They try to pull a fast one there.
They got a lot of ammo, I think, if they want to go out and they want to make any more trades. And honestly, I think Jared Duran sealed his fate with Wilson Contreras and yelling at him and telling him to, hurry up and run after a I wouldn't even call it a deep fly out. It was more of like right in the middle of the field. I'm like,
what was that about?
Man, I don't know. He's frustrated, obviously. It's not the year he's having. He's yelling at fans. Fans are yelling back at him. I mean, it's just not the right look. It's not the good look for the organization. So I do see that they might be moving on. And honestly, what they get for him isn't probably going to be the best just because they just want to wipe their hands. And, at this point, is he doing more harm than good? Not just offensively, but in the clubhouse. What's that conversation look like?
And if you go back 1 year ago, we had offers for him. When I say we, I mean the Red Sox. They had offers for him from San Diego, which would have included a Dylan Cease in the deal and an Ethan Solaz, one of the top, catching prospects, that's going to be coming up in the next couple of years. So they had an opportunity to move him. They didn't move him. And now you got this disgruntled player 3 days before the trade deadline. I just don't see the attraction if I'm another team on a Jared Duran at this point, especially since he has a number 1 in front of his batting average at now. So it's just really been bad. It's just really, really bad so far for Duran, I feel. And he's just, I think, one of those guys that you got to take him in small doses. There are just certain players that, can only have a long enough shelf life, I think, with some organizations. And that's not a knock. That's just a chemistry thing. And when you see it kind of play out on TV, kind of the way he did with that interview, it just kind of tells me I think his time might be done in Boston.
Yep. No, I agree. He might be a guy that would benefit from a change, but
1,000%.
All right, let's talk about some of the colder bats from these last 7 days and some of the colder pitchers here. And some of them are continuing the streak because I'm watching this Hunter Green start going right now.
Oh no! Don't tell me that.
I mean, hey, Skeens got rocked. Hunter Green gave up 4. It's like it is what it is. So let's talk. Tigers, right? So you had catcher DH Dylan Dingler, 87% owned. He only gets hit 174, no homers, 2 ribbies, 1 run, 9 strikeouts, no stolen bases, -1. Cardinals outfielder Jordan Walker, he's kind of hit a wall. 96% owned, only 143 the last 7, 0 homers, 1 ribby, 2 runs, 9 strikeouts, no stolen bases, only gave you 1 point. Some honorable mentions here. Seattle catcher DH Cal Riley, A's first baseman Nick Kurtz, all gave you a point. Dodgers third baseman, we just talked about Max Muncy, he gave you 3. Orioles shortstop Gunnar Henderson gave you 4. And then Yankees second, third base Jazz Chisholm, Braves outfielder Michael Harris, and then Jared Duran, Tyler Soderstrom all gave you 5 points. So not the best.
No. I mean, obviously, I think the biggest name on this list is Jordan Walker. I mean, obviously, having a fantastic first half, winning the home run derby, just really been everything up, and up until about, I don't know, I'd say the last couple weeks, Doug. I just kind of seen a little bit of a different Jordan Walker. The strikeouts are starting to come in a little bit more. It's not something he's always been doing it, but still, you're just seeing a little bit of an uptick these last couple weeks. So, I think guys are starting to figure him out. I'm a big St. Louis guy, Doug. You know that. I've been rooting for them, pretty much the whole entire year. but I'm starting to see the wheels fall off a little bit with this team. I'm starting to see a little bit of a fall off. So if Jordan Walker's not going, it's going to be a little bit harder for Nate Burleson to start going. And, you can't just rely on JJ at the top of the lineup to keep producing. So there's some inconsistencies there. And then Dylan Dingler, I mean, again, this guy could be moved, right? We talk about power catchers. There's a lot of teams that could use a power catcher. We talk about the Red Sox, the Yankees. You just mentioned the Dodgers. So, again, younger guy, but still they're on a fire sale, I think, these next couple of days. So we'll see what happens with him. But, again, we like to see him pick up a little bit. 9 strikeouts, not very good, obviously. And then, like you said, Cal Riley, just been disappointing this whole entire year. Obviously, we knew the expectations were going to be much lower. But, man, we didn't think it was going to be this low. We didn't think, top 20 catcher? Just not good this year. Just disappointing. I mean, Nick Kurtz, again, I just feel like that A's team is just kind of going through something with injuries and just kind of, resetting a little bit. So, again, Nick Kurtz, we'd like to see better from him, but it just sucks to see him on this list again. And then, like you said, Max Muncy, Gunnar Henderson. I'm looking at this list, Doug. You know what I'm seeing? A lot of disappointments. I'm seeing a lot of big names and a lot of disappointing numbers.
I mean, you're going to see more when we start talking pitchers here.
Oh, man. This is not good. And I mean, it's our boys too, Doug. A couple of them are boys.
I know. I'm a big George Kirby guy, 91.8%. 0-1, 4 innings pitched, 3 strikeouts, no walks, negative 7 points. This whole Mariners rotation took a beat down in Texas because there are some honorable mentions on here. So, and then next up, you had Hunter Green, 69.6% owned, 0-1, 5 1/3, 3 strikeouts, 2 walks, 6 earned, negative 5. That was at St. Louis. And then some honorable mentions. Mariners starting pitcher Brian Wu. Twins starting pitcher Joe Ryan. Negative 2.12. Mariners pitchers Emerson Hancock, negative 0.6. Orioles starting pitcher Kyle Bradish, 1 point. Yankees starting pitcher Max Fried, Philly starting pitcher Zach Wheeler, 2.4. Freddie Peralta, good old friend Freddie, 2.9. Mariners Logan Gilbert, Pirates Paul Skeens, all gave it 3.6. And you know what I see in that list? I see a lot of early second, early third round pitchers that are just not producing. And just to get back, I'm reading the comment here on Peralta about Mike James was posting up. I mean, yeah, motivation should be there regardless. The guy was playing for a contract this entire year. So a change of destination to me isn't going to change that. I look at Peralta as being in a similar situation as far as how they're playing. And right now, like when he's pitching good, he's decent. He's startable. But when he's bad, he is bad. Like he gets knocked around. His fastball's flat. He just doesn't look good. And to me, it's similar to Valdez. Framber Valdez is going very similar thing. Throws hard, and what he does is he leaves it flat, and it just gets knocked. Now, who would I rather have? I would still rather have Valdez, believe it or not. That's just me. Now, Peralta, yeah, I think he's a startable. We all know what he can do. I mean, look what he did in Milwaukee. He was a stud there. He was their ace. His ERA was under 3. I think it was like a 2.9 at one point for the year. I mean, the guy was good. But with that said, yeah, it's a contract year. I don't know. I don't think he can pitch as bad as he's pitching. How's that? I don't think he can pitch as bad as he's pitching. I think if he goes somewhere else, you might see something a little better, but I don't think you're going to see a 2.9 ERA come back. I just think he's going through something, whether it be in his head, like Valdez. We all know Valdez really does have those, mental issues once in a while where he'll go on these things. I mean, we saw it last year with the catcher mix-up, right, in Houston. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is what it is. But, yeah, I mean, I don't mind Peralta. I've owned him in the past. He's good. I know what he's capable of. He throws hard. He's a big strikeout guy. But, again, those big strikeout guys, their fastballs, when they're flat, they get whacked. You're seeing it with Skeens. You're seeing it with Valdez. You're seeing it with Peralta. It is what it is.
Yeah, I always think there's always something to say about a pitcher going from, like, a smaller mid-market team into, like, a big market team in a big city. And I just seen guys kind of flame out when they hit the big city. And it's about comfort zone. That's why we probably haven't seen Mike Trout waive his no-trade clause. He could have went to Philly by now. He went to New York by now. Maybe he just likes the smaller market type, Anaheim type teams. They just produce better. We've seen it in the past before with other pitchers. So, if Freddie Peralta could be motivated more, absolutely. I don't disagree with that. And I think the Brewers too, like they have a good fan base, Midwest, right? Like it's just a different vibe, in the area and the community. So when you go into New York, it is just a little bit different from what he's probably used to. He's been in Milwaukee his whole entire career, right?
I agree with that.
So again, if he goes to a different team, I think he can go back to Milwaukee. I think he can go back to Milwaukee, and I think he'll be welcomed with open arms. And then all of a sudden, maybe he finds his old self again. Like I do think that's actually a potential thing because it's worked there before. Why couldn't it work again?
That's fair. Like I said, I don't see him getting worse. I'm not saying that he's this trend of like his ERA being over 5 or whatever it is right now is going to continue. I don't think he can get any worse. But I don't think you're going to see this substantial improvement where this guy's a must start every week, regardless of who he pitches against. I just don't see that happening for this year. Maybe next year, the offseason, he gets himself straight and whatever issues he's going through, he can fix, and he's good to go to start the year next year. But for now, for this year, in fantasy, I just don't trust it. I don't. Stream him if the matchups look good and he gets traded and maybe goes to the Cubs and he'll pitch against St. Louis. I mean, that might be a favorable matchup for strikeouts and whatnot. But other than that, if the Cubs are playing the Dodgers, I'm not going to start him. I wouldn't start him. That's just how it is.
Yeah, and he will get moved. He is going to move.
Oh, yeah. That team's going to be a fire sale.
I think that's – I think he already had his last start. I don't think he's starting again for them until – after that deadline. So I think we will see him probably, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday potentially pitching for a new team. But I mean, going back to the list though, the other names, obviously George Kirby, I had him circled for a big second half. I thought he turned around the corner a little bit. Obviously tough start, really early on as well. So hopefully he can bounce back next week. And I mean, you named the whole entire rotation, Doug, except about Luis Castillo, which is shocking because we usually talk about him too. But yeah, it's just been a tough week for them. I mean, they played Texas, right?
The first place Texas team. Those are games that they should win if they want to be in the thick of this. Those were games that they should have come away with.
Yeah, that's toe to toe. That's your division rival. So you got to win those games, and you're the better staff too. Like they did not any of them do well. That's not good. That's really not good. Hunter Green. Doug, what's going on with Hunter Green? He got his arm cleaned up, missed about 3 months, came back. Now we saw 7 innings, 12 strikeout, no earned, just gem. And now we saw another atrocious start with 6 earned runs. He had another start with 7 earned runs. Doug, how many earned runs does he have tonight? Can you tell me?
I think he has 4. I know they just tied the game, so Skeens isn't going to get the loss. He's going to get the no decision. And man, can we talk about Nick Gonzalez for the Pirates? What a pickup! He was on our show as a streamer, and guy is on fire. He was like 3 for 4 the other night. He's 2 for 4 now with 2 ribbies. So he looks really good, man. He's batting right in that middle of that order. Plays second, plays third. He still might only be like 20% owned. So he could be a reliable guy you want to pick up later on. He's Hunter Green gave you 4 and 4 strikeouts, 6 innings. I don't know, man. Maybe it's rust. The potential's there. He struck out 12 his second start back. I mean, it took Cole. It's like him and Cole, very similar, right? Cole comes back. He didn't look that good his first start. Second start, strikes out 9, gets the win, looks great. And then it's kind of an for like the next 2 or 3 or 4 starts. And right now, Hunter Green is slowly following suit. And I feel like he's just too talented. I mean, I was watching the game, some of it today. The guy was still throwing 97, 98. Nothing tells me anything's wrong with him physically. It's more of locations. Like he's just not hitting his spots, and hitters are just taking advantage of it.
Remember a couple of years ago when Cole came back from his injury? He missed spring training. He came back in about mid-May or so, and he didn't have the best year. I think this was 2024. And just like he just could never really just get himself lined up. It never worked out. So I don't know. Maybe Hunter Green's going through something similar where, again, he's only, a handful of starts in now, give or take. And, young guy still trying to figure himself out. And it probably also doesn't help Doug tonight that he is also in trade rumors as well. It sounds like he is getting shot. So there's probably a lot going on there. And for now, I would say maybe a week-to-week basis, take your time with Hunter Green at this point, because now we've seen this multiple times where you're giving up a lot of runs, and it's just going to be not good because, again, the Cincinnati Reds are also not a very good baseball team. So if Sal Stewart and Ellie De La Cruz aren't doing anything, and, throw in J.J. Bleday for that matter, they're not doing much. So it's tough to really trust Hunter Green down this stretch moving forward, which is obviously disappointing because I think a lot of us expected him to pitch better when he did come back from this injury. That was a stash.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like I said, you're still in a good spot fantasy-wise because there's still, about 3 weeks away. So he should be able to get 4 more starts under his belt before you start your fantasy playoffs, or 3 or 4. So you hope by then he rights the ship. You have time, right? I mean, if you're clinging on by a playoff spot, maybe you don't start him until he rights the ship. That's the thing. But if you're, 99% in the playoffs and you want to roll with him out there, I get it. So, I mean, you could bench him. You could do a couple things. I mean, it's tough because it's like the strikeouts are there. So it's not like he's like crazy killing you. I mean, this start killed you, but today's start is a little better. The strikeouts are a little up. He did go 6 today. A lot better line than that. I think you kind of just you got to ride him out. Time is on your side. Playoffs are coming up. You still have time for him to right the ship. So I don't know. I mean, good time to maybe buy low.
You could buy low. I'll tell you what. Logan sent me a trade today for him, and
Of course he did.
it was Jake McCarthy and Clay Holmes. He
is selling Clay Holmes like
I know. I saw him in the chat talking him up. That's what you're supposed to do. We're salesmen. Don't forget, we're used car salesmen, Doug.
I get it. And talking about used car salesmen, this is a great opportunity to talk about some sell highs and some buy lows. So we're going to hop right into it because I have a sell high pitcher, a sell high bat, and then one of each. And there is some rhyme and reason why I think some of these guys are sell highs and some of them are buy lows. And we'll start with the first guy. We've already talked about him. I'm going to go over some numbers. And let me explain to you why I think he's a great sell high. Specifically, really, if this is a redraft. If it's a redraft league, I think you might want to cut your cord with this guy. Pretty good week. I mean, he hit 333, gave you a homer, a ribby, 4 runs, 4 strikeouts, no stolen bases, 20 points, 3.3 a start. I mean, what a year. The guy's on pace to literally shatter most of his career highs set last year. Home runs, ribbies, stolen bases, hits, runs. Doing that with a lower batting average. He's batting a lower batting average than he did last year. I mean, what more could you ask for from a guy that you picked up? Most people probably picked this guy up off of the waiver wire. And he's averaging 2.6. He's a top 25 fantasy bat. Now, that's the good. That's the fun. However, and I'm sure most owners that do own him noticed, he has fallen back down to earth just a little bit. At one time, this guy was averaging you 3 points a start, 3.3 to start the year, the first month of the year. In the last 30 days, his average points per start have gone down to 2.3, which is kind of teetering on that free agent production line. He's also only hit 2 home runs in that span, and that's counting Wednesdays. So he has 2 home runs in 30 games. I think it might have something to do with what we talked about. I mean, the guy was moved up to the 2-hole. I think Page was just so comfortable at the bottom of that lineup. And I get, but then I don't get why Dave Roberts makes the move. Like he made it because Mookie Betts was out, trying to spark the top. Well, Mookie Betts isn't out anymore. He's back. I don't know. He's still a rosterable guy, but I think the window to trade him for a big piece is kind of slowly closing with every start. I think with the deadline approaching, it would be a pretty good move to maybe move on and look for someone more consistent down the stretch. Again, this is a waiver wire pickup that is now a top 25 bat. Imagine that. You pick a guy up, he's a top 25 bat. You know what you could probably get for him is a top 10 pitcher, maybe. Depending on your league, depending on your scoring format, he can give you back a pretty big haul for a guy that you picked up off the waiver wire. I'm just saying the numbers are just slowly, steadily creeping down for him right now.
Yeah, interesting pick here. Man, where to start with Paez here? I just pulled up his numbers from 2024 and 2025, and obviously 2024 was a sample size. It was about over 100 games, so I guess maybe a little bit more than a sample size. And then last year he had about 156 games. And compared to this year and then those 2 years, he is trending up. But it's not like he's at this incredible incline of being this top 5 outfielder, right? We saw the start that he had this year in April and in May. He was great. He was unbelievable, and he was a top 5 outfielder at that moment, for sure. And like you said, Doug, he was drafted later in rounds. I think I even drafted him in the draft. I don't think I picked him up. I think I drafted him and I traded him to Logan, of course. But yeah, it's a guy that's going to be a 20, 25 home run guy. He's going to bet you 270. He's going to get you about 80 to 85 RBIs a season. He might get you 10 stolen bases. Actually, he probably will get you 10 stolen bases, which is still very good. But then 93 strikeouts this year. Not bad. Not bad. We're saying pretty good. But ultimately, you're not talking about a guy that is a monster Yordan Alvarez. He's nothing like a Ronald Acuna when he's healthy and stealing bases and hitting home runs at a ridiculous clip. Paez is, I think, just kind of he's good. He plays for the Dodgers team. He's going to get great at bats. He's going to get great opportunities. But he's not this big thrilling guy that I think people think he is at the same time. Respectfully. So yeah, I would sell. And you know what? I would sell, for a guy that would, you could do better than Ranger Suarez, obviously. George Kirby just had a kind of a dumpster fire start. So I don't know if he's at that clip for George Kirby, I mean. I think you could do something better than George Kirby at this point. Man, it's so tough to put a name to the trade.
I know.
It's so tough. So maybe you are in that right ballpark. What about a Gavin Williams?
That's interesting. I think our league, the way it's set up is pitching is a little more important. So I would maybe 10, especially with the strikeouts. I mean, what did he have? 212 strikeout games the last 2 starts, something like that. 24 strikeouts. I mean, I don't think I would do that. But I would want to trade Page sooner rather than later. Like I said, the last 30 games, just 2 home runs, 2.3 a start. It's just, he's going to break, a lot of it. But all those numbers that helped achieve these career highs were done in the first 2 months when he was batting in that 7 hole. Now he's in that 2 hole. Not only that, you don't even have a Tani in that lineup right now. Mm-hmm. And I think for the rest of the year, you're going to see him be played very, very. They're going to slow play him for the playoffs. He's not going to be there every day. Maybe like an every other day, or who knows? Because I know this injury is really, really bothering him. He's a dog, and to take him off the mound when he wanted to win the Cy Young, that's tough for him to swallow. And now he can't even hit because of it, which is what we had said was going to happen. It's exactly what we said. I said, when we looked at his numbers last week, I said, these numbers tell me that this is an injury that is probably going to hurt him hitting because, he's kind of fallen off a little bit. So now he's not in the lineup. You lost Will Smith a couple months ago. Who knows when he's not in the lineup. So right now, I think your biggest bat might be Freddie Freeman. Maybe is that fair?
Freddie Freeman. Mookie's been hitting better, but he's not the same. So Teoscar, not the same Teoscar that we're familiarized with. Yeah, there's not a lot in there, Doug. Not a lot in there. They do need the power bat. They do need it. And if you're the Dodgers at this point, why don't you just put Ohtani on the IL now? Like, what are you up? Like 13, 12 games or something in that division? Like, why push the needle in when you can just pull it out and just let it heal? Like, it just doesn't. I understand why. I understand why Ohtani wants to do what he's doing and stuff. But again, longevity is talking about championships. If that's what it's really all about, just put the guy in the IL now. He's got 2 different injuries. He's got a bicep injury and a knee injury. Like, just put him on the IL. Like, it's okay. Yeah. It's not the end of the world. Yes, it will be a news story. Oh, Ohtani's on the IL. Is he going to come back? Is he not? No, he's going to be back. He'll be fine. He's supposed to be ready for the playoffs. And again, like we talked about last year, Doug, we didn't know what he was going to do for pitching. But then what about this year? What if he just relieves in the playoffs? What if he just goes in the back end and just say, hey, me and Edwin Diaz are just going to close out this 8th and 9th, inning for these guys. So Yamamoto goes 7, Glasnow goes 7, Snell goes 7, and then these guys just come in at the end. Like, I mean, they can get creative. I don't think that's probably going to happen, but again, just an option.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know how serious the injury is. Who knows? Maybe Dave Roberts is just like, I don't want him on the mound for the rest of the year. I don't care if it's for an inning. I just strictly don't want him on there. I don't know. I think they'd really rather have his bat in that lineup than his arm. So,
what's sad, Doug? We're talking about power bats. We can't believe we forgot him. It's Kyle Tucker. How forgettable is he so far?
Oh man, I did forget about him.
Shame.
But so you got Ohtani out. That guy should be your best bat in the lineup, but he's not.
Absolutely.
Your 36-year-old first baseman is crazy.
And then the whole tag up thing. Dave Roberts he was mad. He was big mad.
Yeah. I don't
know. He didn't go. Not a tag up, but he didn't. He sent him, and he didn't go.
Right.
Not good.
All right, so let's talk some more sell highs. And this guy, I don't even think you could sell him high after his start today. The Griff. He looked great. He just gave up 5 runs to Atlanta right now in 5 innings. He had a really good week, though. It was against the Diamondbacks. 1-0, 6 2/3, 2 strikeouts, a walk, 3 earned, 17.2 points versus the Diamondbacks. Like I said, he was home. He was a top 6, top 7 starting pitcher in fantasy, believe it or not, in the points league. Numbers are great overall. I mean, what a great story. I mean, a guy that was cut at the 2022 season, goes to Japan for 3 years, comes back to be a top 6 fantasy pitcher, averaging 14.5 a start, 8-0 in his last 12. Now, to get a full picture of his career, you really have to do a deep dive into his numbers, especially his numbers overseas. And yeah, he pitched great last year over there. He had a 1.62 ERA on the year, 6-1. But here's the kicker. And I mean, I do have him on here mainly for this reason, but he is getting lit up tonight. Who knows? I hope it's not something that kind of catches on, but the real reason I had him sell high was his innings. He's currently at 124. Last year, he pitched 89. In 2024, he pitched 138. And in 2023, 121. So he's right at that area where managers now are going to have to decide how deeper he's going to go because these innings are going to start to pile up. And who knows, the Nationals could be out of the playoff picture completely at some point, and then this guy would just be shut off. He would be shut down. And if you owned him in fantasy, you would be stuck with nothing, absolutely nothing, a wasted roster spot if you're in a redraft league for sure. Either way, you're hoping he does reach the 160, 170 innings, which would probably happen right around the playoffs. But again, I'd look to move him now. Like, I think this is a ceiling. I think he can't get any better than this, and tonight's start is kind of showing me that. You capitalize on his production and get yourself someone who's going to be there when you need them most. Again, this was another waiver wire pickup you struck gold with, and you could easily get a top 25 bat for this guy. So I guess the theme is really kind of like waiver wires for sell highs and buy lows.
Yeah, Forrester Griffin, great year so far. I'm a fan, to be honest. I'm just doesn't have to even be a fantasy fan. I just love the story coming overseas, coming from Japan, joining this Nationals rotation. But man, do you bring up a great point with his innings limit? That's a great point to bring up because how many times again do we see guys hit that window and then crash right through after? We see it year in, year out. And again, when Forrester Griffin, really left when went overseas, he was a relief pitcher. He wasn't starting games. So I don't, you looked into it more than I did. Was he starting baseball games over there? Because if he's only got 84 innings, it makes me sound like it could be potentially.
So he did start a couple. He was mainly a starter. He was a relief pitcher for a few of them, but he was also hurt, and that played into some of those smaller innings that he had. I mean, his best year was obviously the one he went 138 innings in 2024. Last year was great though. I mean, the guy was 6-1 with a 1.6, gave you 124 innings, but again, he was hurt a little bit last year too. So kind of why, but I mean, a great story, great. They struck gold, the Nationals, with him, but you can see the strikeouts now. Only 2 strikeouts and 6 and 2. It's not what you want from a top 5, top 7 starting pitcher.
No, and again, it's the weekend before the trade deadline. This is another guy that's been talked about a lot. Potentially could be getting moved. They just got Conley early, and he'll be back pretty soon, I think, for the Nationals. And again, big, tall lefty pitcher, again, kind of makes Forrester Griffin kind of expendable. And like what they've like to do too, Doug, is they like to sell high, as we know, with Curtis Med. Obviously getting traded to the Red Sox and then getting injured right away. We haven't talked since then, but obviously a devastating blow, not just for the team, but for the fan base. But again, we just now know that Forrester Griffin could be potentially on the move and something that we're going to have to keep an eye on. And it's about the limits. It's all about the limits, Doug. We saw it last year with Clay Holmes, great first half, ground ball pitcher, all of a sudden imploded toward the end of the year. We're seeing it with Griffin Jackson a little bit recently. Same thing, stretched out as a starter. Now we're starting to see a little bit more inconsistencies going forward. So interesting with Forrester.
Thank you. Now let's talk about some buy lows, and some of these buy lows are really that opportunity to buy low is shrinking a little bit here, and you'll see that when I pull up the first guy. Look at that, man! It's like a magazine cover. Cubs third baseman Alex Bregman, great week, 385, gave you a homer, 3 ribbies, 7 runs, 4 strikeouts versus 3 walks, no stolen bases, 28 points, 4.7 to start. I mean, listen, he's had a rough year. This is a guy you drafted pretty early. I want to say probably around the 4th-ish round, maybe, give or take, right? 248 on the year, 11 homers, 2.3 a start he's averaging. Yeah, he's got 78 strikeouts. That's nice to see in leagues that penalize those, like we always say. I think this is a perfect buy low guy. And if you need infield help for your team, this is a guy you should go get. Last 30 days, he's averaging 3.3 a start. He's got 17 strikeouts, 17 walks, 4 homers. I mean, we all know Bregman's a second-half hitter. I think he's going to be a huge second half for him and the Cubs down the stretch. I have him as a buy low because I think owners might not get back a player that was drafted as high if they do want to move on from him, And you rode the wave of him being so bad for so long. If you own him, there's only 2 things you could do. You can either continue and be like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to ride him out. Whatever. I don't care what I get back. Or you can be like, you know what? He's finally hitting. I can actually get something for him. Let me just trade him. So it's up to, I don't know. Like, I do own him and I would move him, but I don't have anybody else to plug into third base is my problem. So as for now, I'm just going to hold. But that Cubs team, I mean, man, look today. I mean, Will Warren just goes out there and throws a gem, shuts him out. Like, if there was a team that maybe needed like a more like a Luis Arias or like an on-base guy, like that's a team because PCA batting leadoff, I mean, the guy's going to have 180 strikeouts. That's not what you want for a leadoff hitter. So maybe you do get a Luis Arias at the trade deadline and just shift everybody down. I mean, PCA would be a great number 2 guy.
He would be. He would be. You know, they really need help on that left side of that infield. You know, Bregman obviously kind of been disappointing so far to this point, but again, he's kind of turning the corner a little bit, so maybe starting to find some life over there. But they could use a shortstop as well. They could probably use another corner outfielder. You know, really, yeah, another right-handed power bat would probably also help them as well. I mean, they got some holes, and then that's not even including pitching. But I mean, what do you do with Alex Bregman at this point, right? That's what we're talking about right now. I'm actually holding on to Alex Bregman. I like what I see from him. Yeah. We always talk about how he has such a high floor, you know, because he doesn't strike out and he does, you know, still make contact. And maybe it's not the best contact, but he's not absolutely wrecking you. And the thing is, too, like you said, you don't have another third baseman to even plug in. So the position's still kind of thin, even to this point into the season.
Great point.
So it's kind of tough, and it's like you kind of have to play dealer's choice. I know a lot of people that drafted Miguel Garcia, not very happy. I mean, that guy was a top 3, 4 third baseman off the board as well. Had a very disappointing year, still on the IL. You know, at least Bregman's healthy. He's playing for a pretty good competitive Cubs team. I mean, if he can get the spark going, he could be the one that leads the Cubs right into that playoff push. He's maybe the X factor of that team when you really talk about it out loud. Man, he could be the guy. So again, if you're starting to see this light, and now they're kind of going down the stretch, Alex Bregman knows how to win baseball games and, you know, postseason, as we know. This could be the move. This could be the move that we've been waiting for, and now we're starting to see it with Bregman. So I think I am going to hold on to him, even though you probably could get a little something for him now, and being a thin position, I think I ride him out.
Right. But see, that's why I say you buy low. I think if you do want to go out and get him, I think if the guy who does own him wants to give him up, I don't think you'd be paying as much as you would be if this was like a healthy Bregman, like when he was in Boston for that first half where he hit like 320 and looked amazing. Like, I'm assuming that's what people thought when they drafted him, with that he was going to put up numbers like that. Like he was going to average you probably, 2.6, 2.8 a start and at least have like 15 to 20 home runs at this point in the year. And it's just not materializing. He's got 11 for God's sakes. It's like, it's tough.
The average isn't
248. I mean, you'd expect at least a 280, 270. Nothing.
Yeah. He's kind of been famous for like a 240, 250, but like I said, though, he's a contact guy. He gets the walks. He doesn't strike out. So like the 240 is okay, especially if he averages 2.6, 2.7, 2.8, per game. But now you got the lower average, you got the lower power. That's just not a good formula for a guy like an Alex Bregman because you don't have anything else to rely on. That's kind of the crux of it all, I guess.
All right, so we're kind of running against time. We're going to go past our little 1 hour deadline, but we got one more guy, and this is a buy low guy. And when I say buy low, it's weird. I mean, how quiet of a year has Erod had as far as him being so good? Like, he's a top 15 pitcher, a quiet top 15 because nobody is talking about him. 2-0 his last 2, 14 innings pitched, 6 strikeouts, 4 walks, 2 earned, gave you 40 points. They were both away at Pittsburgh, at Washington against the Nationals. They were pretty tough, again, tough starts. This is another waiver wire guy, and this again paid off. Now, if you would have told me Erod would be 10-3 with a 2.4 ERA, averaging 12.3 a start, and a top 14 pitcher in fantasy, I'd probably laugh at you until you get out of here. But here we are, late in the year. He is a top 14 pitcher. He's having one of the best seasons of career. I don't see him getting shut down, so he'll be there for you in fantasy playoffs. He's currently at 130 innings. Last year he pitched 154. 180-ish would be probably his cap, which is about a full year, give or take. But he did pitch 129 innings one year and then gave you 203 the next for the Red Sox back in 2018, 2019. So there is some room for growth with innings for him. So, again, the innings cap really wouldn't scare me with him. I think this is a quality arm you could get on the cheap just because he was at it from the waiver wire and because it's Erod. we always talk name recognition and how that kind of plays a factor in some of these when kind of it shouldn't, right? I mean, you want to talk points, and it's one of those things where if you take the picture away and you give you points, and you would probably guess it would be someone completely different. And I show you Erod, and you're like, oh my God, right? Now, just think, him and Sonny Gray have about the same amount of points. And I bet anything, Sonny Gray owners would be asking the world for him right now. The guy's 13-2. I think for a top 14 starting pitcher, you could get this guy on a bargain. Nothing tells me he's going to slow it down. He's got some impressive wins on this year against some really good playoff teams. So there is something to say about that. I think you can go out and get this guy for a playoff push for your team and not break the bank.
Yeah, you're spot on. I think Sonny Gray owners would want to be paying for more, get more than an Erod. Look, I think Erod's been on our hot list a couple times, and then also I feel like he's been an honorable mention many times, and we kind of just say, "Oh, an Erod, haha," but it's to the point where it's we're about to turn to August tomorrow, and we're talking about how Erod's a top 15 pitcher, and he's just finally figured it out, and I think Arizona, if I'm Arizona, I'm selling this guy immediately because I think this is the highest you're ever going to see in Erod for sure. Yeah. But this guy could also help you, down the road for another team at the same time. But man, I think I am buying an Erod on this only because it's just been so consistent. It's hard to find good pitching down the stretch right here. And there's been a big enough sample size to this point where I think we have a really good idea of who is who's not who. Are these guys pretenders? Are they not? Like you said, the innings isn't going to be really a thing for Erod. He's 33 years old. He's been down this block before, so he's going to be not limited going down the stretch here. There's a lot to like here. There's a lot to like. Like I said, 33 years old. He's kind of like in his prime-ish almost. I feel like he's just finally put it together. Maybe he just found the right spot, the right home in Arizona. But, man, yeah, you're right. You're not going to have to break the bank for a guy that could be down, the top 20, top 25 pitcher at the end of the year. I don't think that's religious. How about an Andy Pages? Can we throw that out there and say, is that something that we can talk about and be fair? I think it probably lines up a little bit.
If you're talking trade, right, and the name, just the name alone, you're like, okay, Andy Pages for Erod, you'd be like, oh, why would you trade Andy for that? But you look at the numbers and you're like, you know what? It does make a little sense. It does. It's not horrible.
I don't think it's outrageous. You got here, he's top 15 pitcher, and then, right here you have 3.3 a start, which puts him, or 2.6 a start. That puts him kind of mid. Yeah, I think that's a fair trade. I'm just looking at it kind of blindly, but I don't think that's a ferocious offer that you cannot work with. Right. How about that?
I get it. I like it. I'm for it. Like I said, what you go out and you trade and you get an Erod that is going to be like your SP3, who's a top 15 on top of who you actually drafted, who's I'm sure, is doing pretty well as, on top of that. That's not a bad team to take into the playoffs. Really isn't.
I don't hate that. Maybe that's a move we got to do. Maybe we got to think about that ourselves.
You want Paul Skeens? I'll trade you Paul Skeens.
Oof, I don't know. I think I dodged the bullet this year with Paul Skeens.
Well, all right, man. What up, man? I can't believe the hour went by. It's been fun, man. We talked about some of the hottest hitters, some of the coldest hitters, some really good sell high, buy lows. And, of course, we did talk some trade deadlines, which nothing has happened yet. Still some time. We'll see what happens. I'm sure next week when we're here live again, we'll be talking about some of the trades that went down. Who knows? Scuba will probably still be a Tiger in my book, but we'll see what happens.
Wow, bold prediction.
I think he's going to stay. I really do. I don't know. I feel like the team they're still in the thick of it. I think they still hope they can re-sign him. If I'm going to be completely honest, I really think that team really thinks there's a chance he can stay there. And it's like similar to Bryce Harper and the Nationals. Very same thing, man.
It's interesting. I just think it's the right move. Maybe you don't want to do it. It's like, you got to think with your heart, but you got to, really think with your brain type situation.
Yeah, I get it.
You got to do it.
I don't know what they're going to do.
They're calling up Maxie Clark. They're going to give him a shot in the outfield. I mean, if they can go out and get a James Tibbs and match him up with a Max Clark, that is a great 1-2 duo in the outfield for the Detroit Tigers that they can get excited about over there as well. And maybe not think about Skubal as much when he departs. I think that would be the best move for them.
Well, we will see next week who's right. We will see. All right. So, yeah, again, guys, make sure to like us, heart us, all that good stuff. FSAN, Bourbon N Ball. We do have Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're on all that good stuff. We do have our live show every Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, same time for an hour. And then we also have a recorded show we record on Sundays. We post it Monday mornings from usually around 9 a.m., 8 or 9. No, we post it at 8. I post a short at 9. I always get confused with times. Anyways, it gets posted at about 8 a.m. Eastern time on YouTube, and we break down lineups and break down pitching matchups for the upcoming week. So if you're looking to find a couple guys to stream, which we have hit on for pitching, believe it or not, we've very good numbers as far as picking good streamers and good matchups. So again, check that out Monday mornings. Until then, I'm Doug. That's Mikey V. This is Bourbon N Ball. We'll see you next week live. Take care, guys.